Today I'm going to show you how to create your own personal VPN server using Amazon's AWS cloud. And this is a update to a tutorial that I had done before, but the process has actually gotten a little bit easier. And on top of that, I noticed when I actually went back and watched the original video, the audio quality was not very good, among other things. So it just kind of made sense to go ahead and redo that tutorial. The first thing you'll need to do is actually sign up for Amazon's AWS, Amazon Web Services. You go to aws.amazon.com. If you've already got an Amazon.com account, you can use those same credentials, but you will have to click through a few pages of terms and conditions before you actually have AWS activated on your account. And once you've done that, you come up here to My Account /console and then click AWS Management Console. And if you are not actually signed in, that will bring you directly to the sign-in page. Sign in using their server. And then you have this page, which is all of the various cloud offerings that Amazon offers. The one that we're interested in is over here under Compute and Networking. It's EC2. And it stands for Elastic Compute Cloud, and it is Amazon's virtual server offering. And then once we're on the EC2 dashboard, what we're going to do is click this large Launch Instance button. And then when you click that, you'll see this page come up. And we're going to leave that on Classic Wizard and click Continue. And then now, under Quick Start, they have a bunch of different server software settings or options. And each of these is an AMI or Amazon Machine image. And the one we're going to use is Ubuntu Server 12.04.1 LTS. We're going to leave it at 64-bit. And LTS, all that means is a long-term service. And these releases tend to be just a little more stable than the other releases. On the next page, the only thing you're going to do is come up here and make sure that this is set to T1 Micro. If you're eligible for the free tier, you'll actually be able to run this instance at no charge for up to a year. After that, you will be charged the rate for the T1 Micro for the number of hours that you have the server running during any given month. Once you've done that, you'll click Continue. On this page, we're not actually going to do anything, but we need to wait for these two options to load, and then once they're loaded, we'll go ahead and click Continue. Okay, so go ahead and now that you see they're loaded, we're going to leave those as use default and click Continue. We're not going to change anything here. We're going to click Continue. Here we're going to create a value for name, and all this does is label your server so that you know what it is. As you create more servers in the future, if you were doing something, this will help you identify what this particular instance is actually for. After you've done that, we're going to need to create a key pair. As you'll see, I actually have some key pairs made, but I'll go ahead and create a new one so you can see how this is done. We're going to go ahead and give it a name. In this case, I'll use VPN-demo, and then we're going to create and download the key pair. And usually what I do is I have a folder that I have in my home folder called Keys. And so what I'll do is go ahead and take that from the Downloads folder and just drag it into Keys so that I know where it is. And we'll go ahead and close that for now. Next thing we're going to do is need to create a security group. And this just sets some basic firewall settings. So we're going to call this VPN demo. And you have to have a description, so we're going to call it VPN demo as well. And for now, the easiest way to go ahead and get this up and running quickly is just to add all TCP, all UDP, and then all ICMP as well. And if you're going to be using this for an extended period of time, you can come back later and restrict this down so that only the ports you're actually using are open. Go ahead and click Continue. And then if everything looks good here, on this review page, we'll go ahead and click Launch. And then Close. And then go over here. It still says 0 running instances because it hasn't refreshed yet, but we'll go ahead and click it. And then you will see You see I had some instances earlier where I was just going through this process myself before making the video, and then you'll see the one that's actually being created now. Go ahead and refresh, and you'll see that the new instance is now running. Go ahead and click it, and that brings up all the details which we're going to need at various points throughout this process. So with this checkbox checked, before we move on, actually we're going to go ahead and open up Terminal, and this is important. You need to go remember where you downloaded that key file, and we're going to have to actually change to that folder to make the rest of this process a little bit easier. So to do that, we're just going to type CD, and then in my case it's keys, and if you hit ls, you can see there are my keys. Before we can actually connect, we need to change the permissions on the key file and make it so that it's read only, and it's only readable by my local machine. And to do that, we're going to type chmod 400 and then vpn-demo.pem. Hit enter, and then we'll hit ls-l, and that shows us the permissions, and you can see that it just has one single R next to our VPN demo key file. With that done, we can now go back to our browser and come up here and click Instance Actions. Remember, make sure this is checked. It should still be checked. And then just click Instance Actions, and we're going to hit Connect. And then rather than use the Java SSH Client, we're going to connect with a standalone SSH Client. Again, for Macintosh users, that is built into Terminal. If you're using Windows, you're going to need a standalone SSH client like PuTTY, which is free, but you'll need something else to actually be able to connect. We're going to copy this line of code, and then we're going to come back, and it's important to still be in the folder where your key file is, so that the path will be correct. And we're going to paste this in, but before we can actually connect, there is one thing that Amazon does not correct before giving you this code, and that is we need to change root to Ubuntu. Ubuntu doesn't, the way that this Ubuntu instance is set up, you cannot log in as the root user. So once you change that, you can hit enter. It'll connect. It'll it'll tell you that the authenticity cannot be verified. You're just going to go ahead and click type yes and hit enter, and that'll add the key to your list of known hosts so that you can connect. You'll only have to do this the first time that you connect to the server. Wait for a second, it'll establish your connection, and then you'll have your command line just like you would in a normal terminal, but you'll see that you're actually connected to the remote machine now. So now it's time to actually install our server software that's actually going to run the VPN server. And to do that, we're going to type sudo. That it lets you run the command as the root user. And then we are going to type apt-get install pptpd and hit enter. It will find the packages, ask you to confirm, type Y, hit enter, wait for it to install. Alright, now that it is finished installing, we actually have to go in and configure a number of different configuration files so that we can actually connect and use this VPN server that we have just installed. First thing, again, almost all of these commands are going to start with sudo and then pico, which is a file editor. The first file that we're going to edit is /etc/pptpd.conf. And in this file, we're going to go and uncomment two lines, the local IP and the remote IP, and they are pretty far down in the file, you'll see. And then to uncomment them, you're just deleting this pound sign here from both of those lines. And then you can go ahead and delete the local IP because we need to change that value. And what we need to put there, we need to go back to our browser, close this connection window, and then scroll down, and what we want is the private IP of your Amazon server instance. So copy that, go back to our terminal, and paste in that IP. And then once you've done that, you will hit Control O and then hit enter to actually write the changes, and then we will hit Control X to get out of the file editor. The next file, again sudo pico, the next file we're going to edit is /etc/ppp/pptpd -options. And then what we're going to do in this file is set up our DNS servers. And I'm going to use the OpenDNS servers. The best two options for this are probably either OpenDNS or Google's public DNS. So what you're going to do is you're going to come down here under Network and Routing. You're going to uncomment the two ms-DNS lines and then put in the new DNS server IPs. For OpenDNS, that's 208.67.222.222 and 208.67.220.220. If you're going to use Google's public DNS, I believe that's 8.8.8.8 and 8.8.4.4. Right, and then once you've put your DNS servers in there, again, Control O, enter to save, and Control X to actually exit out of your file editor. The next file that we need to edit is, again, sudo pico for the editor, /etc/sysctl.conf. And I mistyped sudo /etc/sysctl.conf. And for this one, we're going to come down to the line that says net.ipv4.ip_forward equals 1, and we're going to delete that to allow the actual forwarding that we're going to need to actually utilize this VPN server the way we want to. Again, Control O, enter, Control X. And the next file that we can go ahead and edit is, well, actually first we're going to go ahead and run an iptables command. So command for this is quite long. I recommend that you I've included it in the description of the video, so if you just scroll down there you can copy and paste. But it is sudo iptables -t nat -A POSTROUTING lowercase o ETH0, which is our network interface, -J MASQUERADE, and hit enter to actually run that. And then we're going to actually add that line to another file, and that'll be sudo pico /etc/rc.local, and we're going to add it right down here above the exit 0 line. So again, that's iptables. You're not going to include the sudo this time. -t nat -A POSTROUTING -o ETH0 -J MASQUERADE. And what this actually does is make sure that this setting is reapplied each time that you restart your computer or your server. Again, Control O, enter, and Control X. And then we have one more file that we need to edit, and that is to actually set up your user account. So it's going to be sudo pico /etc/ppp/chap-secrets, and we're going to scroll down to a new line, and then under client we're going to put our username that we want to use to log in. In this case I'll just use demo. Server is pptpd. Secret is our password that we're going to use. In this case, demo-password. And IP address is the IP addresses that you want to be able to connect from. So we're going to use an asterisk so that we can connect to this server from anywhere that we are, because the primary place that you're going to use a server like this is somewhere like an open hotspot where you need to log into something that is using a sensitive password, and you don't want somebody else connected to that open Wi-Fi hotspot to be able to hijack your credentials. So you know, if you were to put an actual IP address in here, you would only be able to connect from that IP address, and your server wouldn't be of very much use to you. So once you put in the details that you want to use, we're going to hit Control O one more time, enter to save, and Control X to exit out. Next, we're going to restart the VPN server, and to do that, we'll run /etc/init.d/pptpd and then restart. You'll see that the server is stopped and that it is restarted. And then the next thing we'll do is go ahead and reboot the whole instance just so you have a fresh running machine with your configuration the way that you want it. And to do that, we're just going to type sudo reboot and then execute the command. You'll see that you are almost immediately disconnected as the server goes down to reboot. And then while that's rebooting, we'll go ahead and set up our VPN connection details. And this will be in your VPN client if you're running a Mac, as I am. This is built into your system preferences. It's built into the OS. So we're just going to go to System Preferences, Network, and if you don't have a VPN connection set up already, you'll come down here, click this little plus sign, click VPN, set the protocol to PPTP, and then give it a name. I'm not actually going to create one because I've already got one created. I'm just going to add a new configurations. So once you got it set up, you'll click it, come over here, add configuration, and I'm going to name this AWS VPN demo, create it, and so the first field here is the server address. To get that, come back to our console, scroll down to the public DNS field on our instance, and we're going to copy this value, and then we'll go back to our system preferences, paste it into the server address. Account name is whatever you set up as your login in the chat-secrets file. I'm going to leave this as maximum encryption and click authentication settings. It's going to be password. Type in your password, demo-password in this case. Click OK, and then you should be ready to connect. You go ahead and click apply to apply the settings, and then connect. And you'll see I have show VPN status in the menu bar, so you can actually control your connection directly from the menu. You don't have to open settings each time. You see now that I am connected, and if you want to test this, just to ensure yourself that it is actually working. Oh, one thing I did forget to mention, because I already have this selected, is that you do need to go under Advanced, and under Options, you need to click Send All Traffic over VPN connection. Just back out of that now. You need to make sure that that is actually connected, so that your internet traffic will actually be funneled over the VPN that you've set up. But if you want to see that it's working, you can you can open up your browser, go to whatismyip.com or any similar website, and you'll see that the IP address you're given is not your own personal IP address. Whatever connection you have to be using, it will have changed to the IP address of the Amazon EC2 instance that your VPN server is actually running on. And that is it for this tutorial. You can leave the connection details in there if you're going to leave your server running, and you'll be able to connect to it again without having to enter the details. If If you have any questions about this tutorial, feel free to leave them in the comments. And if you have any suggestions for future tutorials, feel free to leave those in the comments as well.